Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Gamer Logic. I'm Mike Murtis, and today I'm inviting you all over to come play in my arcade. Let's go check this out. Welcome to my arcade. Now this is the first time I'm actually doing a arcade room tour for 2014. I used to do them all the time and they got a little repetitive, so I only started doing them every year or so. So it's 2014. I haven't done an arcade room tour yet, so I figure it's the perfect time to do it because I'm kind of on a stopping point for the machines I'm collecting for the year. And I need to show off, obviously, my most important acquisition for 2014, and that's this Japanese candy cab right here. But if you're not familiar with any of my previous arcade room videos, well, you can always check them out by going to the Gamer Logic channel and doing arcade room tours. Just type that in and you'll find a ton of them. It's kind of cool because you can see since 2008 how my arcade has really changed from being just a one machine kind of deal that I got for free from my buddy's friend who just wanted to get it out of his house to, well, what's standing behind me right now. So let's get right into it and let's talk about what I want to talk about first, and that is the Sega Astro City Japanese candy cab. So this is my Sega Astro City Japanese candy cabinet, and this is the first Japanese cabinet I've actually owned. Now, in terms of mystical unicorn of like arcade machines for me, I've always wanted a Japanese candy cab. And why is that? Well, just look at it. It looks so cool, so different from anything you've ever really seen on any sort of, American arcade scene. Now, I've seen these at GameWorks from time to time, but you just don't see them look like this. There's really nothing in America that was really common that looked like this. It's just got this cool plastic, almost car body design to it. It's got cool neon kind of look to it. The control panel is fully populated, easy to configure. It's just really, really cool. And I never thought I'd actually own one of these short of actually going to Japan and figuring out a way to get one loaded on an airplane or something, and that's just not going to happen, right? So I actually ended up buying a Astro City control panel for the Sega Saturn. They made a accessory for it, a joystick accessory for it, and it is pound for pound, minus the coin slot, a reproduction of this Astro City control panel. I figured, all right, that's as close as I'm ever going to get to an Astro City, so I guess that's what I'll stick with. Well, funny enough, I get this from Chris at Windy Gaming. And probably about the end of last year, it was shortly, maybe a week or two after the release of the PlayStation 4, I'm talking to Chris on the phone from Windy Gaming, and he goes, hey, you're never going to believe what I'm doing. And Chris always has good ideas. He goes, I'm going to bring over a container of Japanese candy cabinets. And I'm sitting on the phone here and I'm like, holy crap, I got to jump on this. So I tell him, you do that, I guarantee you I'll get at least one. Now, honestly, I'd love to replace a ton of my wooden machines in here with the candy cabinets. That's just, I put a lot of work into them and stuff, so I really don't want to get rid of all of them, even though it'd be cool. But yeah, he said that he was working on bringing them in, and he wasn't sure exactly how long it was going to take, but he was working on making it happen. And sure enough, he did. So when he announced that he was selling them, I went ahead and got an Astro City, which I think is kind of the lower tier in terms of candy cabinets, but that's okay. That's all the money I had at the time. But he had, tons of Taito machines, what I always say, Blast Cities. I always confuse these two, Astro City and Blast City and stuff. So maybe in the future, if I have the funds, maybe I lose one of these machines, I may pick up some additional cabinets. But yeah, he got them in, and probably I want to say in April or May, he finally got them in. He got tons of them in, and I went down to the Windy City HQ and was able to bring home one of these bad boys. Now, funny enough, even though the form factor for this is much smaller than most of the wooden cabinets, I still couldn't get this damn thing through my basement door. So my dad actually helped me. We took this cabinet apart. You can actually take it apart completely. You can take the panel off, you can take the doors off, you can pull the monitor out, obviously, but you can actually split the cabinet in half. And that's what we ended up having to do, which was kind of a pain in the ass. I don't really like doing that because, you know, you gotta get all the wires and everything put back together. But we had to do it if I wanted to get this thing down in the arcade. So we brought it downstairs, and I'm kind of glad it worked out actually that we had to take it apart, because the one thing about these machines, and it could just depend on where it's at, I don't think smoking is banned in any Japanese arcades. And with that being the case, this thing was full of nicotine tar. It just smelled so bad when you opened it up. It had that old cigarette smell to it. So with it fully opened up, I wasn't gonna put it back together smelling disgusting, so I got some industrial grade Simply Green, or Simple Green, whatever it's called, and just started filling that thing up, filling a rag up and wiping the machine down, getting all that nasty nicotine out. And it was amazing. The cabinet mostly went from yellow in the inside to just this clean auto body unpainted look in the inside, and it just made a huge difference in terms of smell and all of that stuff. Now, that isn't an insult to Windy Gaming saying he doesn't, you know, clean any of his machines or anything like that. That's not the case. I was kind of in a hurry of getting this machine, and you know, he pretty much just tested to make sure that the monitors work and the buttons work, and I really don't blame him for sitting down and trying to clean through all of these. So I was kind of in a hurry to get the machine, so you know, part of that is my fault. But if you do get a candy cab, no matter where it's from, open it up on the inside and just inspect and see how much dirt and how much gunk is actually built up into it, because you want to clean it out, obviously. And if it's nicotine, you don't want that blowing through the fans and blowing through your house, because that's just disgusting. I don't know if it was just a coincidence or what, but I ended up actually getting a pretty bad cold after working on this thing. And I don't know if that's from breathing in all the nicotine or what. So, but yeah, I got the thing. It's great. You know, what I love about this thing is the top here just screams excellence, and that's why I kind of want to get an extra one. And I mean, this is just cool. The Sega new Astro City. So technically, it's a new Astro City, but just a giant ass monitor. I got Aliens vs Predator playing here right now, and the sound on this is great. I actually put an additional amp on there to just kind of give it a little bit of kick, especially when using RCAs. And the control panel itself, I just love it. It's easy to populate, it's easy to change, so no matter what I put in here, if I want to take out buttons, so it's set to whatever it needs to be, it's easily done. I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, like I said, I just love it. It's a nice little cabinet, and hopefully one day I'll get some more. And actually, on the top here, I just have a Street Fighter 3 marquee. You can put marquees in there, but I don't have any Japanese marquees, and because I've changed jobs, I don't have an easy way of printing marquees unless I get a hold of my buddy Frank. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, this is my lovely Japanese arcade cabinet, and definitely one of the highlights of the room here. Okay, so now that we've talked about my new machine, why don't we just go around the arcade here and talk about a few things. One of the first things I want to talk about actually are these WWE pay-per-view chairs. And a buddy of mine, Mike, actually from DK Pinball, was going to a shop called the Trading Post, and he found a ton of them just sitting there, and the prices were pretty good for them. So of course he knows I'm a huge wrestling fan, so he got a hold of me and said, hey, you may want to check these out. So I went ahead and got two, and then I ended up going back and buying the rest of them. So I bought the whole collection, but just really cool pay-per-view chairs you get if you sit front row at one of the WWE pay-per-views. And I've never had the opportunity to sit all the way up front, unfortunately, because they're either super, super expensive and the card just isn't worth it, or they're sold out. They're sold out really quick. So no luck with ever actually getting my own. So this was a good opportunity to do so, but here's Kofi Kingston, Money in the Bank 2010. In the back there is Extreme Rules from 2012, and then there's Extreme Rules from 2013. Back there we got some Payback chairs. I'll show those off in a little bit. But the extra benefit to these is, one, I have a lot of pay-per-view parties, especially with the WWE Network being out. So I have a ton of people over. We, eat food, watch wrestling, have a good time. And what's awesome is these chairs make perfect, matchup basically for watching the pay-per-view. Here you are sitting on an actual WWE chair, and I actually have a projector hooked up over here. So you're watching WWE pay-per-views on a 110-inch screen. That also doubles really well for playing retro games through the Retron 5 or anything that matter with composite or HDMI input. Just looks great. But it's like being front row at a WWE event. You're watching a pay-per-view. But the extra bonus is these chairs are just the right height to sit and actually play the Sega New Astro City with some back support. I actually went to IKEA while I was trying to find a nice chair and picked up these little green stools. I think I picked them up for like 10, 20 bucks maybe. And you know, they were okay, but the issue with them was that there's just no back support. And the older you get, the worse your back hurts, or at least mine does with all the lifting and stuff I do. So the fact that I can use these WWE chairs and just relax on them is super nice. So the stools get retired for now, but they work great for handicap stuff. So why don't we move up to our pinball lineup here. And again, I won't talk about all of these, or maybe I will, but if you want to hear more about them, you can always do so by going to my channel and checking out some of my previous videos on it. This is my Bally Midway Lady Luck, still holding up great. Actually, shortly after taking a look at this machine, kind of cleaned it up, there's actually some kind of weird issue going on with it, with the soundboard. And actually, I don't know if that's that or what, but if you listen to it, it almost sounds like there's some weird sound issues going on with it right now. But actually, that's Time Pilot behind me that's doing that, so I thought there was an issue with it. But anyway, the machine I got, this one probably gets played the least out of all of them, unfortunately, even though it's a pretty beautiful looking machine. Must be cold where she's at. But, you know, it's a great looking machine, and that's probably because maybe the previous owners didn't play it too much either. There's pretty minimal wear on this thing. It's a cool machine, there's just not too much to do with it, and the price is right with it. It's also a limited edition machine. They didn't make too many of them, so that's one of the main reasons I picked it up. I just wish I had the opportunity to play it more. Just with these other three here, I have a better opportunity and more fun to do so with these than I do the Lady Luck. Actually, before we talk about the F14 Tomcat, let's talk a little bit about these two remotes here. Now, the one on the right, the black one, actually turns on these signs. Turns on the game room sign there, which is very awesome. I added that mushroom and Mega Man. This used to sit in my office at my previous job, and when I switched jobs, I really don't have an office now. My car is kind of my office, so I brought these home and put them up on the game room sign. So I gotta get one more parlor bead art. Maybe like Proto Man or something, put them on the left there. But that turns on, the black remote turns on that sign as well as this pinball sign, which is pretty cool. Lights up the room very nicely, gives it that arcade feel. And then the one on the left here will actually power up the machines. The first two buttons there will power up the actual video arcades. And then the one on the very bottom will power up the pinball machines. Now, people ask me, you know, your electric bill must be through the roof when you run all these machines. And to be honest with you, unless I'm having a party, I don't run all of these machines at the same time. I usually have them turned off whenever possible, and just play whatever I want to play, unless there are certain occasions that, you know, I just want to power up all these machines, make sure they're running, and not going to turn off on me, because the worst thing that can happen is you could be having a party or whatever, someone's playing and the machine just turns off for whatever reason. You don't want that to happen, so you just kind of have the stuff run and work as is. So, yep, that's the remotes for that. Now let's get back to pinball here. That is the wonderful F14 Tomcat. Lots of LEDs in this one. Almost all LEDs. Really brightens up the playfield. Love this one. This is probably my second favorite in the lineup. Fast as hell. Still working on trying to get the top score for this thing. Just really don't have the time to do so, unfortunately. And that really goes with everything down here. You know, you get all these machines and you barely have time to play it. Now this is my Sega Maverick. I love, 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 love Maverick. This is my top machine in my collection right now. in terms of pinball. So much fun. Me and my friends agree. We play the crap out of this thing. It's just a fun game. It's got a really cool Western theme. If you've never heard of Maverick, the TV show, or have never seen the movie, it's based on a show, it's based on a movie. This machine is particularly based on the movie, which I think was released in like 1995. But a very cool machine, lots of cool ramps, lots of cool loops, lots of cool modes. There's like a brawling mode, there's a stagecoach mode, rob the bank, all this different stuff. And one of the reasons I enjoyed this machine is because, well, the price was right to start with, and it also was my first DMD machine, digital matrix display machine. And the beautiful thing about it is it's an extra large dot matrix display. And the great deal about that is that if that ever breaks, I'm going to have a hell of a time trying to find a replacement screen with that. But yeah, dot matrix display, DMD, very cool. Really adds to the game. Over here we have my second pinball machine I ever purchased. The first one was a Swinger, which is long gone now. Black Pyramid, kind of an Indiana Jones theme. Don't play this as much as I used to play 2, just because it doesn't have too many modes on it. It's just score as high as you can. Spell out Black Pyramid and you're good to go. Still a fun one. You need to sit down and play it more. I almost think the LEDs really don't light this up enough. It's a pretty dark game, so why don't we now switch over to our arcade machines. Alright, so let's talk about my video arcade cabinet, shall we? And we'll start here with Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail cabinet. I love this. My wife loves this too. My wife is a huge fan of Donkey Kong Jr., so she actually loves this machine a lot. It's a 2-player machine, though I have it backed up against the wall, so really you can only do 1 player. I need to actually sit down and take a look and see if you can adjust the board to have it just play off of 1 joystick and have people switch over. I just really don't have the room down here to have the machine turned the opposite way and have a person sit back to back with it. Well, maybe that's not true. I could probably move some crap and make that work, but for now, I just have it facing this way. But man, I love this machine. I really do. It is a fun machine. It's nice and small. It's that classic cocktail look. And Donkey Kong Jr. is just a ton of fun. I also have a original Donkey Kong board, so if people feel like trying to become the King of Kong, they can. Let's move on to this machine. The hybrid machine that has gone through so many different games. This is a generic arcade cabinet. People dub it the washer and dryer combo because it looks like a washer and dryer stacked on top of each other. And this one is just a load of fun because of how customizable it is. It's easy to get into, and you can really just put anything in there. Now that is actually a computer monitor that is running Super Street Fighter 2. This isn't MAME, this is running actual CPS2 hardware. It's just I got one of those CGA, EGA to VGA connector boards and have the board plugged right into that, and it looks great. It's full screen and just looks nice, and that's the perfect size. I think it's like a 21-inch monitor maybe that fits in there. Yeah, super customizable, tons of fun. This is my Centipede Cabaret cabinet, which people freak out and go, oh my god, why is this thing purple? It's because it is. And that's because when I picked this thing up, it was beat to hell. The wood was way beyond repair, and it was easier just to change the color of it, clean it up, paint it, and customize it a little bit than trying to destroy it or trying to even restore it, because it was at that point you either destroyed it or you did something with it. It just wasn't worth going back to. It had tons of wood damage. We replaced a ton of it and just got it as good as it is. And, you know, if I ever really wanted to paint it back and try to restore it back to its original glory, you could do so. It just costs a lot of money. And what I was just looking for was a cheap machine to do a 60-in-1 that you could play and have some fun with. So yeah, this is a 60-in-1. It's got tons of different stuff with it. I've never seen a 60-in-1 before. You got this Pac-Man, Galaga, Frogger, Donkey Kong 3, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong, Galaxian, Dig Dug, Crash Roller, just tons of stuff. Gyrus, I love that one, even though the sound is bad on that. But it's a cool machine. Lots of fun. This is my Atari Space Duel 1981 arcade machine. And as you can tell, that is not Space Duel. Space Duel is a asteroids-like game. It's vector-based. It actually needs a vector-based monitor, which isn't cheap, isn't easy to get a hold of, and honestly, the game just isn't really my style. Again, this is one of those cabinets that was empty, didn't have much in it, and was pretty much on the verge of just being destroyed, and I decided to save it. Now, my deal is, I love the classic look of these cabinets, so I want to try to preserve it as much as possible, right? So the side art is still there, what's left of it. Obviously the beautiful marquee art is still there, and the control panel, even though it's a custom control panel, is absolutely based off the original design of the control panel. Now the beautiful thing of this is, say I want to get rid of this, say someone comes here and says, oh my god, I've been looking for a Space Duel cabinet for years, and they want to buy it off me, they want to get a vector-based monitor and all that stuff. Well, they can. This panel will actually come right out, this control panel, and they'll be able to simply place the actual control panel back in and do the wiring. You know, that's the thing about my machines. If I do any modifications to them, I make it possible to put it back the way it is. I don't do any crazy-ass mods that basically screw the machine over for life. Just like this one. But yeah, right now Tekken 4 is in here. Not a huge Tekken 4 fan, but a lot of my friends are Tekken fans just for the ease of play, and they like it a little bit more than, say, the Street Fighters and stuff. So that's why that's in there. For me, you can't have an arcade if you don't have a Neo Geo MVS multi-video system. I loved these arcade cabinets back in the 90s. So I had to get a hold of one, and I got a hold of one from Arcade Adventures. Actually, that's where I got a hold of the Space Duel from as well. What a great machine. Can't get a 4-slot, wouldn't fit in there, so 2 slots fine. I got Mark of the Wolves running in here, as well as non-1975, and I got a variety of different MVS carts. Monitor had some issues with it. The board had some issues with it too. Got a new board. I have an extra MVS board for 2-slot. I think it needs a cap kit in it, an audio cap kit to fix some of the sound issues. But other than that, this plays great with the new monitor, or I should say the rejuvenated monitor, and a fixed up board. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition Turbo, one of my favorite editions of Street Fighter 2, at least in terms of CPS 1. This is the best version in my opinion. This is actually a Robotron cabinet that when I got it was converted to a Street Fighter 2 and was just beat to hell. Everything was torn up, graphics looked bad, just nothing was placed where it shouldn't have been. So these are all custom graphics that I printed, with the exception of the marquee there, which is actually a print I did too. I tracked that down, resized a lot of the art that I found online for it, and just replaced everything to kind of give this machine a wonderful look. There's side art and everything on it too, but gotta love Street Fighter 2. But the secret to this is that it's just not a Street Fighter 2 machine. Even though I actually have Street Fighter 2 boards, this is actually I think it's like a 13-in-1 board. It plays all CPS 1 games. So if you put a coin in and you hold down player 1, 14-in-1, you get an option for 14 different Capcom games. You do Magic Sword, Street Fighter 2 Red Wave, which is a bootleg, Street Smart, which is a Final Fight bootleg, Championship Edition, Street Fighter 2 Knights of the Round, Phoenix, 3 Swords, Super Pang, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, which is what you're seeing now, 3 Wonders, Captain Commando, Final Fight, or Mega Man The Power Battle. So you pick the game you want, hit this, that loads it up. This board kicks ass. There are no issues pretty much with any of the games. I think there's a slight issue with the sprite, a few of the character sprites in Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, but that's it. Otherwise, this thing works phenomenal. And it's cool because if you want to switch it up easily and don't want to switch a board out, you can do so without an issue. You know, I have a lot of friends that just aren't huge fans of fighting games, but they like beat 'em ups or they like puzzle games or whatever. And with this, you can just switch it up really quick and be done with it. So pretty awesome, plays great. They don't make these kind of boards anymore, so I'll be sad when it dies. They actually used to make a CPS2 board too, but I never was able to get a hold of one. This is a Street Fighter 3 Third Strike machine, even though Darkstalkers is playing in it. And actually, this is actually a Tekken machine. But I put in the extra 6 button in there. It was a Tekken tag when I got it. And when Street Fighter 3 Fight for the Future, the HD release of it, actually, Resurrection, or whatever the hell they called it, came out, Capcom released all this digital art for it. So I made some customized art and put it together to make the machine more Street Fighter themed than Tekken. But if I ever want to go back to Tekken, all I have to do is take out that marquee, put the Tekken 3 marquee in there. Actually, maybe I do Tekken 4. And then just take all this stuff and put it together to make it back into a Tekken machine. But for now, it is CPS2. And finally, we have my Devil May Cry 3 pachinko slot machine, as well as my projector on the top there. Cool machine, more for looks than anything, and I got this for cheap, so that's the reason I kept it. Otherwise, if it's just a regular pachinko machine, I probably wouldn't give a crap. But fun little machine. People get glued to it. I actually need to reset it because it has put in paid out mode. Someone, you know, jackpotted it and it needs to get switched back. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of my basement arcade, and now I'm gonna go sit down and play a couple fighting games. Thanks for watching, guys.